Hey everybody.
Hi.
Hey. So Toph and I used to work together, and one night I was telling him that I needed to learn how to talk to people better, and my only solution for this was that I should start a talk show. So here we are. This is what happened. This is the result. It's not quite as evolved as what we imagined it to be yet. We'll get there. It was going to be a way to get to talk to people in town, characters you see on the street, and you're just curious about their story. But for the first episode, we sort of had to interview our friends and people we could get to easily because we had no idea what we're doing. Hence this episode, or whatever it is. So pardon the glitches, the background noise, the awkward silences that may or may not exist, and what have you. We're going to start with what was our first interview, which became Topher's first interview, which was with Jonathan Richman, which is very charming and very short. So enjoy.
Whenever you get a second.
Okay, ready? Hi. Do you want me to get that thing out of the way? Is that... Yeah.
All right.
Say your name again.
Okay, my name's Christopher Brown.
Christopher.
Yeah. I'll just sit here for just a second.
Please. Yeah, and you can get rid of that chair if it makes it any easier. It's not helping.
Yeah, all right. Touch
Okay, whatever you think.
Okay. We are here with a gentleman named Jonathan Richman. Yes, Jonathan Richman. He was nice enough to sit down with us for a few minutes before he plays a show at High Dive in Gainesville, Florida. How many times have you played in Gainesville?
I'm sure close to a dozen.
Close to a dozen times?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably more.
Oh yeah?
Sure.
Okay, and it's
Over a
always
period
been
of
a
years.
positive experience?
I can't think of a bad one.
Yeah?
It's a good place to play.
Okay. A friend of ours owns a record shop called Aerozane.
We were just there.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he told me that. Did you see anything you like?
Yeah, I got a record there.
Oh yeah, what'd you get?
I got Pandit Pranath singing stuff from India.
Okay.
Those Indian bhajans and chants.
I got you.
I like it.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Did you get a chance to speak with Daniel,
Yeah.
the owner?
Yes.
Yeah, super nice guy.
Very, very nice.
Excellent. Well, that's great. You give me a list of songs you're gonna play tonight, or
Sure.
Yeah?
We don't use them.
You don't
There's
use-
no such thing as a set list with us.
Okay. All right.
Actually, Tommy, who's been with me 20 years,
Yeah.
there was one night where just for the hell of it, I actually did try a set list probably about 18 or 19 years ago. I even then hadn't used a set list in about 10 years.
Oh yeah.
But just as a laugh, sort of, I said, let's actually try a set list. And he saved it. He
Yeah?
has it as a collector's item. It's
Oh, that's pretty neat.
So, of course, we didn't follow it.
Yeah.
But, no. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I want to just sort of stay blank and just go whatever happens more.
I understand. Okay. What I've seen you in a couple of different things. Just one that comes to mention is something about Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Now, was that a positive experience for you?
Didn't it look like it?
Yeah, it did.
It was fun.
Yeah, you got to sit up in a tree and play some music, or
And stand on the ground, all my
Yeah.
favorite places.
okay. When you were up in that tree, was there any harness or anything, or were you just up there?
Good question. There should have been. But the costume girls told us, you won't need it. They're planning a big, harness for you with a big platform. And so we'd never done a movie before. And they said, you won't. It said, so you don't think we'll need it? They go, no. And so we told everybody, yeah, we won't need it.
Yeah.
The stunt supervisor, we saw him sitting in the tree,
Yeah.
calmly strumming his guitar without a harness, and he had this great smile on his face because he knew what he was doing was only was much, much trickier than it looked.
Right.
And we didn't yet. But also, first of all, they told us it was only going to be about 8 or 10 feet off the ground. It wasn't. It was more like 18 or 20.
Oh, jeez, that's
And
gonna be a heck of a
it was
fall.
a difference. And also, you had to support yourself with pressing out with your knees to do it, which is great if that's all you're only thinking about and not thinking about
Right,
anything
playing,
else.
yeah, playing some sort of
And also,
guitar.
I'm terrible at lip syncing. They should have told me. like what we did with later scenes is they said, Jonathan, here's what we're going to do. See, since I never sing a song the same way twice,
Yeah.
I can't imitate the way I phrase
Right.
unless I have lots of practice. So with other stuff, we did it later, but he would say, okay, you're going to do these phrases, and I'll go practice them for about 4 hours, which is what it would take me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, so that one though, I had no idea really how to lip sync that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were a little shaky up there. And so the director, Pete Farrelly, came by and looked at us and said, so, Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Errol Flynn are up there in the tree. They're looking a little nervous, aren't they? Well, yeah. So, yeah. And then the stunt supervisor said, sooner or later you learn to listen to your stunt supervisor.
Like, I'm crazy about cereal. It'd be something that I could eat. If anything can go well, it will.
Are you shitting me?
I don't like
Like
that
the
saying.
bumper stickers?
I don't like that saying. I just think it's so ridiculous. Really?
Can you tell me what you think that means?
No, I don't. I have no idea.
Trying to shovel smoke with a pitchfork in the wind.
Now, for anybody who doesn't understand that out there, any way you could explain what that means?
Most things that we do is just being completely futile, like trying to shovel smoke with a pitchfork in the wind. It's something that's not happening. It's just something. It's just something that you do. It's as if someone told you to do that, and you just have to do it, and it's never going to do anything for you. And that's sort of the way I feel about anything that you choose to follow without really dedicating yourself to it. It seems to make less sense just as a sentence or a thought.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because I hate everything and don't think that anything's good, or if it just really doesn't make sense as a thought.
I don't think it makes sense, and maybe somebody could explain it to me, but it's the same thing as, to me, it's the same thing as people saying, oh, bad things happen in 3, but you never hear people saying good things happen in 3, or 4, or 6, or 8.
Yeah, exactly.
It just,
Right now with me, I have Brandon Barnett, a psychotherapist, songwriter, and blogger from Kentucky.
Yeah. My area of expertise is definitely, I would say I have a couple, but like my main ones, songwriting and song arranging,
Okay.
lyric writing.
All right.
Like that's the thing that I obsess over, and I think that's kind of where my talent lies.
Okay.
And then like creativity theory, like the theory behind the creative process, like the science behind it, the research behind it. And stuff.
All right. Okay.
That's what my blog's about. So I'm just researching that like
All right.
2-3 hours a day. Like I just nerd out over that stuff.
Okay.
The more I read about creativity theory, the more I end up like reading business books. And like I have like, it's so bizarro, but I read like all these like marketing and business books now because like they're the people really like studying creativity theory because they make money with it. The resistance is anything in your mind or your environment that gets in the way of you sitting down and doing your creative work.
Okay.
So it's self-doubt, fear, like having to walk the dog, your job. Like he really takes like, anything that like just if you wake up in the morning, you're like, okay, well I'll wake up in the morning. I'm gonna write a song over there. I'm gonna sit down for 2 hours and write.
Yeah.
You know, and like I eat breakfast and I'm gonna go write. And then I'm like, man, I have to go like drop this letter off at the post office. I'm gonna do that first. I go do that. Okay, I need to write my song. And then I get home and I'm like, I really don't have anything to write about today, and like I suck, and like all these like thoughts start clouding in your head.
Yeah.
All of that is resistance. Like, so you hear your brain being like, I'm too tired, or I don't have time because we have this thing we have to do later, so I don't have time to sit down. You start realizing that that's not true, and that's just your mind being afraid to be creative.
And
for a creative person, I require like I try to put into place like a huge amount of structure. Like I love routine.
Yeah.
I love routine. I love my routine.
Okay.
like the writing isn't the hard part. It's sitting down to write that's the hard part.
Gotcha. Can you recall a time in your life when you realized that you were human?
Oh, right now.
Right now?
Right now.
This very moment?
Right this second.
Yeah? Okay.
My baby's due Monday.
Yeah.
I am human.
Okay.
I've never felt
yeah.
so just like a big bag of vulnerable flesh that
Yeah.
I do right now.
Right,
Thinking
yeah.
about
Imagine
being
what
a
kind of...
dad and being broke and just life, man.
Yeah.
Poor kid, it's like, what do I need? And now it's like, what does everyone need?
What
and
do we need?
What do we need? And like, what if I can't provide what we need? What if I, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's just all
that's
this
terrifying.
anxiety.
It's a drive.
Because usually it's, yeah, it is a drive, but usually there's this thing like, okay, screw it, even if I can't get what I need, it's just me, screw it. I can go without, whatever. I've been poor, who gives a shit, you know? But now it's like, there's not that option anymore to like cop out. You know? I'm excited. I'm excited to have this little thing that I'm allowed to be myself around.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to trade your life for anything because your life is just your life and you have no idea how it's actually going to feel to be doing something. You just have that idea of like what I think it would feel like, and it's always wildly inaccurate, you know?
Yeah.
Like before my band got big enough to actually tour and make money and very nothing amount of money, but enough to actually get from town to town, like I was always like, oh my god, if we could go on tour and like be on the road all the time, like
that'd be ultimate.
that's crazy, you know? And then you do it and you're like, oh, it's like gas stations and like just sitting in like crappy hotel rooms and like getting sick of each other and like playing to nobody. Like 90% of your time on tour is just spent kind of shuffling around parking lots and like getting in and out of a car.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend all my time shuffling around parking lots and getting in and out of cars.
Yeah.
And like smoking cigarettes and like sitting at the bar for 4 hours waiting for the show to start. You know?
Do you enjoy the anniversary of your birthday?
Yes.
For what reasons?
I don't know. Like the same reason I enjoy Christmas or anything else. I'm not religious. I just it's a holiday and I just get stoked like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like I just that feeling of like my
That's
birthday being awesome. It's still completely just my birthday is awesome. Okay. I think I'm envious of like really successful like young adult science fiction fantasy novelists because I really want to do that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm scared to death to write songs. I've written like 4 or 5 albums of stuff that people kind of dig and like still scary as hell to do it, you know, but like that writing thing, it was like I didn't have any confidence in it. It was like, I know I suck at this. And so, but I'm going to make myself do something that I'm just terrible at for like 2 hours a day. Like anytime I'm reading something, there's just always this little part of my brain that's just like, just green with envy.
Yeah.
It's like I want to write so bad.
Okay.
And it's like seeing someone doing it well.
Yeah.
And just knowing how clumsy I am with it is just like, it drives me nuts.
Well, I mean,
while I'm enjoying a book, it's like, people think I'm good. I don't think I'm good. Yeah. I don't know. Another thing with the novel thing or with songwriting or anything like that, I think people forget they're looking at a final draft. You know?
Right.
Like, you don't think about it. You're like reading this thing or you're hearing this record and you're like, I could never do that. I could never do that, you know? And like, yeah, you could. You know what I mean? You do it in like 7 drafts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and you do it over making 9 shitty novels and then 1 really good one and having a horrible first draft and then just tightening it, you know? And then people would see that final product and think it just fell out of your head, like from the views.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a total lie. Like, we get so caught up in like, I can never do that. And it's like, anyone could do that.
Right.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm impulsive. I get flooded by emotion really easily. Like negative, I get my feelings hurt, and then it's like at the end of the world, and I can't handle anything.
Yeah.
And I require like an offensive amount of alone time.
Okay.
To function. So those 3 things like usually just make people not like me right now.
Yeah. I understand.
You know, I just like it's man.
Yeah.
Those are like the triple crown of pain in my life. Like the need for solitude, the emotional flooding, and the impulsivity.
Okay. Do you know of anyone that will be happy after you die?
Yeah.
For real, you know somebody that would be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably, actually, At least 4 people that
At least 4 people.
beyond a shadow of a doubt, and not being dramatic, they will actually be kind of okay in relief when I'm dead.
Really? Okay. All right.
www.artistictreatment.com.
Okay. All right.
Why are you doing this? What is the thought behind asking people these questions? What are you trying to do? Like, what is the truth you're looking for with this?
It's not really a truth that we're looking for, because people could just be lying straight to our faces. It's mainly that we want to understand why people are the way that they are. Of course, we'll never get to everybody. We'll never get to every situation, because things are constantly changing and expanding and getting bigger and then smaller and so on and so on. But what it started off with was just unique people in Gainesville, Florida, where this all started from.
Oh, yeah.
Sean and I met up, started working together at an establishment, and then had this idea about what we wanted to do. He came up with it, and I was like, hell yeah.
Do you think you tend to break things down to try and understand them for what they really are before you really appreciate
I
them?
pretty much break everything down into every possible scenario that it could possibly end up in or could have started as, or I think that's probably part of my entire problem with reality is overthinking absolutely everything.
Yeah. Is that
That's probably why I prefer to be alone, is because there's not all these other factors being introduced to my...
they went in there to pawn something and they couldn't get the money, and the guy's like, well, hey, you want to hold this sign for a half hour or an hour or 2 hours or 8 hours? And they say, well, yeah, I guess I do, because I'll probably make more than I was going to get for pawning an old VCR that one of his parents left him before they ran out.
Do you enjoy the anniversary of your birth date?
No. I generally prefer no animals, I think. Especially if we're considering people.
Right.
I guess up till recently I would have considered myself a cat person.
Yeah.
I've had cats my entire life. But then I also recently didn't have cats, and I've always known that I was allergic to cats for my entire life. I just kind of suffered through it. My whole entire family has done that for some god-awful reason.
My family did the same thing.
They're just lovable. I don't know.
Cat comes to the door.
Cat comes to the door. It's always like that, too. So yeah, recently I'm sort of like a no animal person, because I've realized how much better my allergies are and how much more my life is improved without that sort of component to it. But I do sort of miss them, just as non-speaking, non-involved entities in my life. They're just around and they always love you.
I am a dog person that has a cat named Puppy.
What about dogs at the restaurant? What's your opinion on that?
I love it.
Do you?
I love it. I want to know about every dog that's in the restaurant. I want to be alerted so I can go and pet that dog. Of course, I don't want the dog to be like in the way or like, bite people or anything. But I love it. Yeah, well, we've had a few security dogs in the restaurant, which I also think is adorable. And there's
Security
probably,
dogs?
or I mean, not security
Like
dogs, seeing eye dogs and stuff, or like
Service dogs.
Service dogs,
animals.
yeah. There's one person that brings in, like, they train service dogs. So they bring in the service dogs in training, and they're just, like, wearing their little vests, and then they just, like, lay under the table while they eat. And you're not allowed to pet them or anything, but it's really cute. One lady did try to, like, she had her little tiny puppy, like, in her sweatshirt, sitting at the bar. And for, like, hours, I had no idea. And then at last call, I was, like, on my face to get her sweatshirt. Like, you've had this dog at the bar for like 2 hours? Hasn't gone outside or anything. It's just been like hiding in her sweatshirt. Also, I was not that up. I thought it was adorable. But I'll make exceptions for dogs.
So what were you going to say?
Okay, I feel like if there's anything that I'd want like any average person to know about the service industry, like if anybody, like from any age or like anybody, like one thing that I think anyone could benefit from understanding is that so much is involved in your experience when you go out. If somebody comes in, let's say they buy a Tecate, which normally comes with a lime. And some people say, well, like, why should I tip you just for a beer? And I don't think they understand, like, where that beer comes from. Like, I come in maybe at 4 or 5 o'clock, I stock beer for an hour in the cooler, the beer comes from the walk-in. The beer didn't just magically come in the walk-in. I had to be here when the beer order came in. Somebody put all that beer away. And then I cut up a bunch of fruit. Where did the fruit come from? Somebody had to take the time to do an order with somebody to make sure that fruit came from. And then after the shift, I'm going to be there cleaning up after you, throwing the cans away and taking them out to the dumpster. It's not just a can of beer with a lime in it. That can of beer with a lime in it represents so many hours of work and also just like being present. You know, you come for a beer and you leave. The bartenders are sometimes at work until 3 or 4 in the morning just cleaning up and restocking the bar. So that's why you should tip $1 when you get a Tecate with a lime. It's not just a beer.
Yeah, last night I didn't give people fruit garnishes when they didn't tip me. So I didn't get limes with their gin and tonics if they didn't tip me. But I don't think anyone noticed. I got like some sort of secret pleasure out of that, but I don't think anyone else cared. My favorite bar persona is that I'm just like real ditzy and I don't know what I'm talking about. And I think that people respond to it really well because then, like sometimes they'll be like, I don't know what any of these beers are, and then I go, I don't know what they are either. And that makes them feel more comfortable, but also that I'm like, man, I'm acting like I'm really dumb right now. Someone wrote a note on their check for, it was like a $2 PBR with a $0 tip, and they got a note that said, the lady bartender is nice. This one is Crystal Palace Deluxe. This one is Kentucky Gentleman. This is Montezuma. A lot of people are like, oh, that's really good for a well. And I'm like, the thing where people put their feet up, like they take their shoes off and then they, either when they're sitting in a booth and then they put their feet up, their bare feet up on the booth or like on another stool, and it just seems like too comfortable or something. Like you can't get that comfortable at a restaurant. You can't like take your shoes off and put your stinky little feet up somewhere.
There are two things that happen pretty often is we don't allow cigar smoking in the bar. And somebody the other night had a cigar, and also our ceiling fans are broken, so it's already kind of like, it's not the greatest atmosphere for that. The other bartender said, hey man, sorry, like we don't allow cigars, can you put that out? And the guy started arguing and tried to start defining what cigars were to us and saying like, well, people can smoke cigarettes, that's not fair, and da-da-da-da. And I was just like, dude, you don't understand. Like, it's not, this isn't a conversation. Like, cigars aren't allowed, period. There's nothing that you can say that's going to change our minds if you need to put it out. So he took 20 cigarettes, lit them, and started smoking them all at one time. I went and got our bouncer, and I was like, that guy and all of his friends have to go. It's busy. Like, I'm not going to sit and argue with you. I'll just go get our security guy or our door people, and I'll kick you out. So I didn't know what the guy thought he was going to get. I didn't think what he was going to, like, win us over or like trick us somehow, but obviously like he could have enjoyed his Friday night and had a good time, but instead he ended up getting kicked out of a bar in front of his girlfriend. Yeah. Oh, and also another tip, when there's a female bartender and you come to the bar and you're probably a douchebag, don't say, I want a drink that's going to get some girl really fucked up, or I want to get a shot that's going to make some girl's panties come off. I'm going to think that you're a date rapist, and I'm not going to serve you. Oh, I'll say, that sounds really sketchy, like, who are you here with? He's like, oh, no, it's my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, like, maybe find a better way to talk about her.
There was one guy that never tipped on any of his drinks. Like, he had, like, ordered from all the bartenders. I was like the last bartender that he ordered. I had heard from the other two bartenders that he had tipped all, that he had been rude. And then he like came and sat like where I was serving, and I served him. Didn't tip at all. But then I started to hear his conversation. He was explaining to his girl about how he feels entitled to use like all sorts of terms, like sort of negative terms against women and against black people, like all this stuff, because like he's from Miami, and so he gets to use whatever sort of terms he wants. And I was just sitting there being like, no, you don't get to say it to me. This girl is definitely not going to go home with you because you're saying this to her right now. So I think he was just trying to impress her with like what a gangster he was or something, but he was just this like nerdy white guy. Well, there were all these people with like these various like glow sticks and stuff. Yeah, every week.
What?
Yeah. They wear them as necklaces and earrings, and they're carrying them. I mean, it could be some like spontaneous, like glow stick thing that happens on Tuesdays where everyone separately brings them. I think that they all come from some sort of event beforehand. I don't know what it is. I like look over, and this girl's kind of like teetering around on her like little high heels and like just stumbling around the bar. I'm like, I don't know what's happening with this girl. I see her friend like sort of like carrying her, and then she just starts like puking into a trash can.
God bless.
In the middle of the restaurant though, like couldn't even make it to the bathroom, puking so much. And she's like, oh no. And then I see her friend like trying to lead her to the bathroom, and they're like back at that trash can puking so much, like everyone's looking at her. And then I just like gave her a bunch of water, and I was like, you guys have to go home now. You have to leave.
Sometimes people like to say miss or like excuse me miss. I won't respond to that. I think it's diminutive, and I'll usually tell them like, hey, my name's Carrie, you can call me Carrie, or you can call me ma'am, but like don't say miss, you sound like a cop. But also like, hey sweetie or hey sugar, like I think those are obvious no-nos that anyone who's ever watched like television should know not to do. Same thing with like pounding on the bar or snapping fingers or whistling, like absolutely don't do that. And think about it, like why am I there? I want to serve you a bunch of drinks. I'm there to make money, so I want to serve everyone drinks, and I want it to happen fast, but sometimes it can't be as fast as you think it should be. And you know, if I skip over someone, usually like a bartender will start one way and go down the line. If I miss you, I'm gonna come back to you. And if you like break up that routine or break up that rhythm and like interrupt me and like wave in my face, it throws everything off. Just be patient and hang out, and like we'll get to you. And those are the people that then when I finally get to them, they're like, I'll take a Bud Light. Like those are always the people, like without fail. It's amazing. And if I'm pouring a drink and somebody's like, hey, or tries to give money to me, like not a good thing to do. Like usually that's when I'll actually say something and be like, hey, you need to chill out, or like you need to wait your turn, because it's rude and it's just stupid. Like don't do it.
This one guy like grabbed my arm like really firmly and be like, tell me about your desserts. I was like, oh my god, chocolate cake, peanut butter pie, all this stuff, and like held my arm the whole time. I was like, this does not need to happen right now.
Yeah,
but people feel like they can do that. Kind of, I don't know, like to a certain extent, you kind of have to let them a little bit, which is weird. Every time a key lime pie martini ticket printed up, I would just be like, no! And I would start to like count how many I had made in the night. I was sort of like obsessing on the key lime pie martini. And there was like one table of like 5 ladies that ordered so many rounds of key lime pie martinis. So it would just be like, these tickets would be like 5 key lime pie martinis, 5 key lime pie martinis. And like, I just started to like physically like reject key lime pie martinis, where I'd see the ticket, I'd be like, no. I started to like ask other people to make them. And then finally, now I'm like over my key lime pie martini thing. It was nothing really about making it. It was just like sort of like a disgust at it or something, because that's got heavy cream in it and
liquor
and it's got graham crackers, and it's got a graham cracker rim that's got heavy cream in it, and it's just like the idea. I guess I've never drank one before. The idea of drinking it seemed horrible, and like, you know, as you're drinking it, you've got the graham crackers like in your mouth, and do you like chew them or swallow them, and like just the whole experience of it, and then you get like the glass back from the table, and it's still got graham crackers on it, and it's still got this like coat of key lime pie martini in it, and like it takes so long to clean them. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes want to order like the fancy specialty drinks, but then they'll be like, can I have like not in a martini glass? And most people don't know what I'm drinking, and I'll put like a cucumber giblet in like a rocks glass, so like they can, you know, trick all their friends.
Maintain their cool.
Yeah, so they can drink a more masculine martini or something.
Would you rather read the book or watch the movie? Just not necessarily related to work. I'm just saying, like.
Oh, I would read the book. I'll read all the books. I will watch Lord of the Rings all the time, over and over and over again. But other than that, and I have some pretty like slummy taste in television sometimes, but I like books. I would, if I could only have one thing for the rest of my life, it would be books.
Well,
no, being late like gives me like goosebumps in a bad way. The idea really bothers me.
What?
I don't know where it started, because I'm not a super organized person, but I think I just get, the idea of being late really stresses me out. I get to airports like 2.5 hours early all the time. Movies, I want to be there while they're still showing the shitty commercials and they haven't even started the previews yet. I just like to be, I think I just can't relax until I'm somewhere where I'm supposed to be, and then I can calm down. But until I've gotten there, I'm in like full stress mode.
So do you get anxious before you go into work?
Yes, I do. I usually, like, if I'm out, I'll be like, I have to go home to get ready for work, and, you know, my best friend will be like, you don't work for another, like, 4 hours. I'm like, yeah, but I have to get ready. I just like to, like, hang out and read, or, like, chill out on the internet, or brush my hair, or whatever I'm gonna do. Like, I need to have some time to do that before I work. There's an Al Burian zine, who does that zine Burn Collector, and there's this thing that he's talking about. There's actually 2 Burn Collector things that stuck with me. One talks about him, like, traveling around the country, and he writes a letter to his dad, and he's like, you know, when I was a kid, you gave me a copy of On the Road, and, you know, you got me hooked on this cycle of, you know, coffee and traveling and reading and writing letters, and then you want to know, like, why I travel all the time and why I chose this lifestyle. Well, like, it was you. It was your fault. And he says, like, dear Dad, you fucked up. And I feel like that is always something that's in my mind when I'm thinking about my parents. And then there's another short paragraph where he talks about waking up in the morning, like the morning that maybe something, after something like really bad happened, and that morning where you wake up and there's this moment like before all this shit clocks in for the day, and he says he lives in that moment indefinitely. He says, I've lived in that moment indefinitely, and I've learned to lead the crowd at baseball games.
A lot of times people come up to the bar and say, I just want a shot. What would you drink? Just give me whatever you would have. And I just give them like a shot of whiskey or a shot of tequila. And then they're like, no, I meant a shot. And I'm like, no.
You said
a shot that I would drink. This it doesn't have any like fruits and simple syrup in it or whatever, but it's a shot. Yeah, people will try to like buy shots for us. Like last night, this guy was like, 2 kamikaze shots. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then he was like, and one's for you. And I was like, no. Right, and why would you buy a bartender a drink if you didn't know if they would like it? Like, we have access to everything. Why would we drink a kamikaze shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, make a whole lot more noise for Chris Brown. That's my list. Things I have to tell my mother. I come from a land, Chicago. It's not funny. I've got a question for you guys. Are there any Miley Ray Cyrus fans in the room?
Fuck up. I fucking hate you.
Joke 1, done. Hello. My name's Rachel Ray. I'm about to share with you my recipe for sugar-free sugar cookies. That's pretty much it. Dancing to the bathroom and then out of the bathroom. So they go into the bathroom. So I like to fantasize about my friends' wives. And I have an advantage there because all of my friends are imaginary.
Do you have any unique talents that most people aren't aware of?
Not really, man. I draw a little bit. That's when I was a kid. I wanted to be a comic book artist, before I decided music. So I don't do it as much as I used to, but I'm okay. I'm decent.
Yeah. You ever try to put anything out?
I used to make little comic books, and print them up and staple them and color them, and then it was only one, so I couldn't really sell it, but. Yeah, as a kid, even then, it's the whole packaging side of the thing too. Like I would draw, but then I wanted stories and characters and issues and all that.
That's neat.
Like jazz, that's fun. I do everything. All the artwork is me. The website's me. I would do the photos if I could take pictures of myself. I play about 90% of the stuff you hear on the record is me. I'm a better piano player than a guitar player, so I'll write guitar parts using the keyboard, and then have an actual guitarist come in and we can actually play well. I guess if I had to say one thing, getting organ lessons when I was 6 years old, learning to play organ, I mean, that kind of kicked off everything for me, you know. Went from there to playing in bands, and mostly like punk rock. But I mean, really bad punk rock. Like we covered Blink-182 and shit like that. You know what I mean? It was like pop punk or whatever was out at the time. I don't think we had any clear direction of what we were doing, but you know, it was a couple kids with guitars and drum sets. And I don't play drums. I suck at drums. Really bad at drums. But piano and guitar, yeah. I mean, I'm a procrastinator like everybody. I think. You know, setting deadlines and then reaching them, I think it's important for me, because otherwise I'll just spend too much time on one thing. I'm a perfectionist also. I think a lot of great art, when it comes to your shit that you're creating, you know, it's hard to walk away from it and say it's done. Yeah, the process gets easier, I think, to know that it's never going to be perfect, you know, and it's never going to turn out the way you want it to be in your head. You just got to say that's good enough. I guess that's also another shortcoming, is wanting to do everything myself. I have a hard time delegating, outsourcing, because I feel like it's not going to get done the way I want it to. So, you know, it's hard to find people that get the vision, you know, trust. Those, I have a guy who I've worked with who's done a lot of my music videos, and I feel like he really takes some direction from me and then gets the vision and lets me kind of direct the whole process, and I'm really happy with all the work I've done with him. I've worked with some other video directors where I paid money and had something shot, and at the end of the day I haven't even released it, you know, it's just, I threw it away. But that's how it goes.
Are you a dog or a cat person?
Definitely a dog person.
Yeah. Any reason behind that, or?
Cats are just kind of cold, and they you know, I respect them for, they don't really give a shit about people. I kind of like that. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you get the same answer from everybody on this one, but yeah, you know, I can respect what they do because they kind of have an attitude of fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever I want. But I'm definitely a dog person. As far as if I'm gonna have a pet, that's gonna be a dog.
Yeah. Do you have a temper at all? Pretty calm?
I don't. No, I'm a pretty level-headed guy, man. I'm pretty, I don't get too excited about things, and I don't get too upset about things. Not a big fan of social media. Just in general, I think the idea that we need to constantly sharing something is, I get it. Yeah. I think it's bad. And I think it takes us away from, you know, what we're actually supposed to be doing, which is like talking to people.
Right.
You get excited about performing?
I do. Yeah, very much.
You get nervous beforehand?
Always, yeah. Still, yeah, I always get nervous beforehand. But yeah, I still get nervous before shows. I think you should.
Yeah. You think that'll ever go away?
No. No, I don't think so.
Okay. How long have you been doing this exactly?
I've been taking it seriously. I've been taking music seriously for about 6 years now, where I decided, like, this is what I want to do full time, and I'm going to go about it in an intelligent way and promote myself and come up with a plan of how I'm going to get where I want to be. So, yeah, about 6 years ago is when I started. You know, not just I want to be a rapper, I want to be a musician, you know, making songs in my bedroom, but actually saying, okay, how can I make this thing really turn into a career? It definitely is the ultimate goal. I've had to go back and set some new goals for myself recently, you know, one-year goals and 2-year goals, just really hammer down where I want to be 2 years from now with my career. And it's not, you know, have a record deal and be famous. That's not the goal, you know. Really concrete goals that that I can, you know, achieve and I can get to and make this thing sustain, you know, continue to be sustainable.
Have you always counted on structure in your life to keep you focused?
Yeah, I think so. I'm naturally kind of a messy, lazy, unorganized person. I think I have to force myself to do this sort of structural setting schedules and that sort of thing in order to stay focused. Creating music gives me a release and makes me feel normal. I can tell when it's been a long time, that I've gone a long time without being creative, without writing a song. That then I'll sit down and write something, and I feel okay. Now I feel like whole again. It's necessary for me. We played at the Roxy in LA, and that was like, I remember looking at the tour dates, and that was the one venue that stood out to me. Like, oh shit, I've heard of this place. This place is like legendary, and something about playing that stage very intimidating. Hey, that's where Guns N' Roses and those guys got started. All these bands that just walking around backstage and knowing the history of that venue was a little intimidating. Getting out on that stage, it was I think one of my worst shows of the tour because I was just nerves were there. But I don't think I'll ever forget playing that place. Yeah. I've always said I want to win a Grammy. So
ambitious, but reasonable.
Until we get there, I'm still plugging away.
Yeah. All right.
Pushing forward.
I don't think I've ever heard any musician ever say, I legitimately want to win a Grammy, but I think you do.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of drive sets you apart.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, man.
That's good. That's a good goal.
So we're talking about, is it on? Yeah. So we're talking about storyline on the album. The first track kind of introduces these characters on the record. Tommy and Mary, kind of rough kids. They're in a relationship together or whatever, and it's all really loose. It's not really. You have to kind of read between the lines to get the story, but it's there. It's definitely written there. But "Living to Die" is a song about this guy finds his chick like cheating with him on him or with another dude or whatever. She's moved on maybe, and he ends up tracking them down and killing the dude one night. So that's what that song's about. And then if we, there's the next song with those characters in it is called "Without My Gun," and that's a song about somebody that's done something wrong. We're going to assume and killed somebody, and he's on the run from the cops, and he's in this motel room. It's night times in a motel, and the cops are outside the door. They've tracked him down, and he's kind of writing a letter, like a final letter to his girl, kind of apologizing for what he's done, and then also saying that the cops, they're not going to take me alive. And then of course says, "Bury me with my .45 pistol and a bottle of Johnny Walker. Somebody kiss her, tell my mama I'm sorry, but they won't take me without my gun. I'm not going back to prison." So that's what that song's about. And then later on the record we have "Just for the Night," which is a song about getting into heaven. You're not really supposed to be in heaven, and so you somehow this character's gone to heaven, but it's just kind of on a visitor pass, like a day pass. He gets to go and see his family and see kind of what he missed out on by making the wrong decisions in life. He's going to go to hell the next day, but he gets to spend one night in heaven. And then the last song, "Memphis," is talking about take me back to Memphis, take me back to the times before everything got all fucked up. So
it would be easier for you to write stuff if you sort of build a story and then have characters. That's something you standardly do.
I usually try to have a story arc on my albums in some way or another, and again, it's loose and it kind of comes together as the record's coming together. I know I have characters and I'm writing about certain things. It's not that I sit down and write out this whole grand plan ahead of time. It's that as the songs are being written and the stories are coming together, I realize that these work together as a general story. So then you asked about track listing, and then when it comes to track listing, it's a matter of putting it in the order so that somebody can kind of get the message out of it. And they might get a completely different message than the one that I've tied together here, because like I said, they're not all completely literal. It's not like this guy killed this, you have to kind of read between the lines to get really what's going on. But yeah, there's a story there, and hopefully people get it or take their own story. Actually, there's a funny story behind the record. I wrote the record about 2 years ago, finished writing most of the songs, and went in to record it at a studio in Orlando, and recorded the whole record. Went back a couple months later to get the master tracks to send them to mastering, and the guys had deleted the record. 2 months, going back and forth to Orlando to record this thing, bringing musicians down from Gainesville to play on the record, and they're like, dude, it's, I got a text as I was on my way to pick up the masters. Dude, I'm having some trouble. I can't find the files. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you can't find the files? And I was like, we'll figure it out when I get there. We get there, and he's like, they're gone. They're not in the trash. They're not in, these other places where I would move or save files. They're not on this drive. Somebody came in here. They had different engineers working in the studio. Somebody came in here, thought this was done or whatever, and just deleted the whole project. It was heartbreaking. Yeah. This record actually was recorded twice. I'll put it this way. I'm happy in the end that things worked out the way they did. It was recorded here in town with the guys at Black Bear, and I'm super happy with the way it turned out. And in the grand scheme of things, I think this version's better than the first one we did. So it worked out. But yeah, it comes out September 10th all around the world. That's cool. I'm ready to get it out.